The plan is for President Ramaphosa to address the people of South Africa on that day at 3 p.m., talk about the legacies of Nelson Mandela, and also give a bit of flavor of how we see the year unfolding in terms of regenerating our economy, uniting the ANC and uniting the people of South Africa. It's quite an important program for us, and we hope all of you will find your way down to the parade. There's going to be no seating arrangements made, so if you need to sit, please bring your own chair. Then I am very pleased to introduce to you the new spokesperson of the ANC, who is a member of the National Executive Committee, Pule Mabe. And Comrade Pule will be the person that you interact with, together with Kusela. She's not going to go anywhere. She's remaining here. We're very pleased that he's agreed to do this noble task of being the spokesperson of the ANC. And so this is your constituency. I'm sure you know many of them, but you'll get to know them well. And then let me go to the reason why you're here.
So you're not introducing us to the spokesperson?
No. We confirm that there will be a National Executive Committee meeting on Wednesday. It will be held in Cape Town. The meeting will discuss a decision taken by the National Working Committee. It's a recommendation of the National Working Committee. It's important that I do not do what many people have done over the past week, is give you various bits of flavor of what that decision is. Safe to say that the National Working Committee is taking a proposal to the NEC for discussion. The NEC is the highest decision-making body in the ANC. It's never voted in its entire history as far as I can remember. Certainly not since I've been a member of the NEC have we ever voted. So we'll be discussing a matter of serious concern to all of us within the ANC, and of course a matter of great public interest to the people of South Africa. And that's what we're going to do on Wednesday. We're not going to discuss with you an outcome because we don't know the outcome. The outcome will be known after the discussion has been held. So I'm not anticipating a question about what do you think the outcome will be, because that's prophecy. And I think we've had enough prophesying on this matter over the last couple of days. Let's wait for the NEC. Let the NEC provide us with a decision. Up to this point, there has been no decision of the National Executive Committee. It is only the NEC that can make important decisions of a nature that we are speaking about. Then I also want to say to you, I'm anticipating that you're going to ask me, though, so what about SONA? Let me go straight to that point and say that the ANC does not arrange SONA. It's done by Parliament. We've seen an announcement made by Parliament that there will be a SONA. That's what we know. But we think that we should just wait a little bit with anticipating negativity around that matter until we get a clear answer on all these issues. And right now, we just don't have that answer. Then I know you're going to ask me about the dissident voices in the ANC. The issues around post-Nasrec. I hear some journalists announce it as Nazarak. It's Nasrec. It's not Nazarak. It's Nasrec. It's been difficult, obviously. What happened at Nasrec was the branches of the ANC decided that you may want two slates. We're not giving you any slate at all. We're putting you together as members of the ANC, as cadres of this movement to lead this organization. Of course, with that comes all the issues that would come with people who had argued on different paths before. We're hoping we can persuade people to step out of Nasrec, to step into the future, and to work with us to unite the ANC. What happened yesterday outside this building was unacceptable, and as far as we are concerned, a complete disgrace to the people themselves who did this. The attempt to disgrace the ANC in that manner is unacceptable. In fact, Thabiso Setona has been suspended from the ANC. He's also been arrested and will face criminal charges. The other person who was wielding a shambok is currently being found. As soon as we do, he will have the same fate. I do want to say to you, it's ANC members who took Thabiso Setona to the police station and called for him to be arrested. We're hoping that we won't see any of these unnecessary marches. The ANC has mechanisms to deal with all our issues. So we're calling for our comrades to rally around the movement right now. We're not saying close rank and keep the ANC as a tight corner for yourself. In fact, we're going exactly the opposite direction. We're saying open the ANC up, make sure that people are allowed to step in, that we bring more people into the organization, that we are able to understand that the ANC does not belong to anyone in particular, it belongs to each and every one of us. Finally, I think let me go to the many media reports about what happened in the meeting between the top six and President Zuma. I think it is really not a good thing to speculate what happened in that meeting. It was a 2-hour meeting at his home, Matlamandlovu. We had discussions about what he thought and we thought were the current difficulties facing the country. He expressed his views. Members of the top six expressed their own views. And we left that meeting with a clear understanding that we were going to report back to the National Working Committee, which is what we did last night. We have noted the many different leaks. They're called sources. Sources, very saucy. Except to say that we will take whatever we've been asked to do to the National Executive Committee. That's where the decisions are made. That's where the important debate will take place. So with that, let me leave opening comments for you to then ask your questions. And would you like to say something? I think they need to hear your voice. I think they need to know.
We're handing over to him.
We're handing over to you, and they need to know what you sound like.
No, thanks, DSG. Yeah, I think we're taking cue from you in this case, and we'll deal with the specific questions if they are there.
Okay. Thank you.
Jesus, I've handed over now.
Yes. It might just be a thing of names. I only know Mahlatsi.
Yeah, I'm the old one.
Famous one. Used to see everyone that.
Yes.
DSG, thank you very much for inviting us. It's quite important that we hear what the office of the SDO's office has to say, and congratulations to Pule. Feels like a long journey. You've come from far with the Youth League days. DSG, not once did you mention the issue that South Africans are very anxious about. At play, this is about deciding whether President Jacob Zuma stays as state president or not. Why is it difficult to say to us that the NWC had a discussion about the fate of the president and that decision has now been taken to the NEC? Because South Africans really need to know what is actually going on. Obviously, it's important that we hear what the ANC's thinking is around this matter that has caused a lot of anxiety, especially so close to the State of the Nation address. And then my second question would just be around logistics. If this decision, if the NEC were to take a decision to recall President Jacob Zuma, obviously he still has the right to decide to resign or not. And has the party thought about all of those practical steps? Because those scenarios are what South Africans are grappling with.
Okay. Should I take more questions and then answer them?
Maybe, Deshi, we could, I remember the last time we had met in such a format, we're like, let's engage, so
Oh,
answer the question
and then take another one.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not difficult to discuss that with you. What is important is that we can only say to you that the NWC has discussed the issue surrounding the future of President Jacob Zuma, and that the matter that we had discussed will be taken to the NEC. The NWC doesn't have the power, excuse me, to make any decisions of that nature, or in fact any decisions at all. The NWC only has the power to recommend to the NEC what it thinks ought to be a decision. Then the NWC is asked to implement that decision after the NEC has taken the decision. So, yes, it was discussed at a great deal of length. I can say to you that there are different views, and there was a dominant view in the NWC, but it wasn't the only view discussed. What we're hoping for, Matlatsi, is that the NEC will emerge with a united view on this matter, that once we've done so, we will inform South Africans what that view is. You know, all the issues that you can possibly imagine needed to be aired were aired by people, all of them. Concerns about the economy, concerns that, you know, the mood in the country has had a different shape. Also, the fact is that the global mood has shifted, and I think that's good news for South Africa. Our commodities are going to be seeing a better pricing, hopefully. But also that it doesn't mean if you change overnight your mind that you are perhaps doing something which might blight the future of the country. We don't think so. Yes, the logistics were discussed. The National Executive Committee of the ANC has a right to discuss the concept of a recall of any of its deployees. Once that has happened, in my own experience, I've not met a deployee who has said, I refuse to be given that particular instruction by the organization. I think that that's not happened yet. Lastly, just to say to you that what we need to accept and understand is that we're going to have to wait for the decision of the NEC. You know, it has to be like that. It cannot be you and I who speculate on what that decision is going to be. As much as we have our own views, it would be misleading the country to engage in a speculation one way or the other. That's all we can tell you right now.
Okay, DSG, there are concerns, I mean, with what seems to be, you know, cracks emerging within the top six. Recently, we quoted a certain said that the president will serve his term until 2019, whereas the president of the ANC was going around telling the nation that, you know, the president will be, I mean, there are negotiations to make sure that the president exit will not humiliate him. Can we say you are now from yesterday's meeting, you guys are, you know, you're speaking onwards?
We've passed that point, and I would really urge you to pass that point as well. We have, the NEC has not had a decision on the matter of President Zuma up to now.
Yes.
I think we must be clear about that. We've passed this point you're talking about, and we can continue down the road of speaking in one voice. Once the NEC has made a decision, no one will contradict that decision in any way.
Madam SG, I have two questions. First one, I apologize.
Sorry guys, I'm so sorry to be doing this to you, Nicholas. Can you please introduce yourself?
Oh, sorry.
That's for the purposes of Bule as well.
Nicholas Barr from ENCA. Madam DSG, I'm sorry if this first question irritates you. And I understand you talk for the ANC, and you want the NEC. You say that nobody in the NEC will contradict a decision. Do you believe Jacob Zuma should go? You personally? And then secondly, has the top six or the NWC started talking about what happens afterwards? Who's going to be president? Who comes in? Anything like that?
It's very important for people to accept and understand that when you're part of a collective, you're going to work with that collective. And I may have my own views, whatever they might be, but my views are not bigger than the collective's views, and they're not more important than the views of the collective. And that for that reason, we're also asking other NEC members to hold fire and to allow the NEC to have a discussion. Once that has happened, we will have to begin to accept and understand that we belong to an institution where democratic centralism is a very strong value. And that value is going to have to hold us together from whenever we wish it to, that moment. No matter how much you might wish to tackle me right now, I'm an old ANC cadre, and one thing I won't do is, if the collective has a decision, I will never speak out against that decision.
Sorry,
the
second question.
Logistics, sorry.
Just what happens afterwards? If there's any discussions whatsoever?
Well, whatever happens after the NEC sits, there'll be a briefing to the nation immediately. It won't wait. And then whatever processes have been agreed upon will be announced and will be put in place.
But no discussions over who's going to take over or anything?
No, we haven't had that discussion as yet. But the ANC's constitution and the constitution of the country is a bit clear. If there's a vacancy in the government where there's a resignation, then the deputy president will immediately become the next president. If there is a vote of no confidence, it takes a whole range of other characteristics, and yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
My name is Clement Manyatela from Eyewitness News. My first question, DSG, is on the urgency of this NEC. Why is it being held the day before the State of the Nation address? Are you trying to finalize this issue of transition before that State of the Nation address? Why this urgency? My second question is on the issue around whatever decision that can be taken by the NEC. How worried is or are the ANC leaders on the impact that that decision may have, whatever it is, on ANC members on the ground, on the electoral support for the ANC come 2019? I mean, you spoke about ANC members having voted for a united, supposed slate, for lack of a better word, because they are tired of slates, they want a united movement. But the reality is, whatever decision you will take may really, really, really cause problems on the ground. Have you factored that in, and how concerned are you about that?
Okay, Clement, let me start with the second question first. The inability of the NEC to have a decision is already having an impact on our membership on the ground. It's creating confusion and indecision, and it's creating what we saw on the streets of Johannesburg yesterday, which we do not accept. Therefore, it is important for us to have a clear decision that will guide everyone, without question and without the benefit of negative speculation that goes with it. We will make a decision, and we will make it known very clearly, and in uncolored terms. It will be told as it is made. Secondly, on urgency, it's precisely because of the building up of emotions and, let me say, the atmosphere that is being created around this matter. We haven't been given the opportunity to deal with this matter in a fairly steady and calm way, which would have been a better option. That option is no longer available to us. and therefore we decided on having an urgent NEC meeting.
Okay. Listen.
Morning.
What do I do now? Because all of you from the same house, media house. Okay.
Online.
I used to go. Please,
Three
please.
questions for NNC.
Morning, DSG, and thank you for taking my question. It's Bruno from the New Age. DSG, you mentioned that tomorrow the NEC will be discussing a NWC proposal in relation to the political future of the head of state. You also mentioned that in the history of the NEC, it's never voted. Are you therefore intimating that the calls for the president to step down will be decided by a vote in the NEC? And if so, can you just take us through the process on how this will unfold as well?
Sorry, dear Chief. Can we then get all your questions once?
And maybe give other people more questions.
Cicely?
Yes. One of the things that was clear at NASREC that you were going to manage I'm Cecilia Russell and I'm from ANC, that you're going to manage these two centres of power, and now you're talking about on the eve of SONA, making a dramatic decision that could affect the whole nation. It would seem that this management hasn't been possible, and perhaps you can take us through some of the reasons why you were unable to manage the kind of emotional part of it. And the other thing is that Zuma, for better or worse, has quite a strong support base, extremely strong support base, and I'm quite sure that whatever decision is made is not going to please everybody. How are you going to manage that fallout?
Right. Sifiso Mahlangu with the New Age and ANN7. Last week news broke, DSG, that Multi-Choice wished to cancel its contract with ANN7. In NASREC, Mr. Jackson Mthembu presented a report that the ANC believes in media diversity. Besides the DSG, we haven't heard an official word from the ANC. Whilst the progressive black channel is being shut down, it seems like there is a silence from the oldest liberation movement on the continent. I just want to understand, has there been this discussion? Will the ANC engage Multi-Choice, or will you enter the fray? Or if there is a word to journalists and to the channel of ANC?
Okay. On the question of will the NEC vote, I want to repeat that we have cultures and customs in the ANC like anyone else has. We've never voted on any matter ever. We've been able to persuade each other, even though those persuasions might take long hours of debate and discussion. I anticipate that that's probably what will happen at the NEC. It's unlikely that we will not find each other either way. The characteristics in the NEC of the ANC are that people speak out and speak their views, accept and understand where they've been persuaded, disagree vociferously or otherwise, if they feel that there's a view that is unfair, unjust, inaccurate factually, or politically not within the policy perspectives of the ANC. Those are the things that guide members of the NEC. And I have no doubt that probably that will be the same this time around. So I don't know which way this will go. And I don't think we must try to speculate for the ANC how this discussion will go. Whichever way it goes, every member of the ANC will be expected to accept it, work with it. Obviously, what will happen is either way, we will go to our structures to give a report back on that discussion and what its decision is. Have we considered implications? Yes, we have, very clearly so. We've considered all the implications, whether these implications are based on the support base of any individual in the ANC or the support base of the ANC itself, the impact on our ability to guide and steer the country further in terms of our own desires to have a country where inequality is undermined, where we can see our people genuinely having rights to the land, having proper education. And so for that reason, this is not a matter that we're treating light-heartedly at all. Then you ask on the question of multi-choice and so on. The ANC has not decided to meet any company. We never do that, and we have not done that. What we are saying as a principle is that the ANC does not support any gagging of any media house, irrespective of how difficult the views of that media house might be to accept. It doesn't matter who it is. The concept of a gag is not something we will accept ever, or censorship of a particular nature and disguised as whatever it might be disguised as is not something the ANC will accept. Even if it wasn't ANN 7 and another media house, we'd still have the same position. One doesn't gag media, and we do need diversity in the news. We need to support diversity in the news as much as possible, even if it is uncomfortable diversity. We must offer ourselves to defend your right to say what you want to say, irrespective of who you are, even if we don't like what you say. And that's the view that the ANC generally expressed at its Lekgotla, and that's what we are remaining with. The last point we want to make is really a point about, you didn't ask the question, but it's a point we want to make, if we may. It's vitally important for the ANC that we are never driven by the mediocrity of the opposition parties in South Africa. And for that reason, we can't be chased into a corner by populism, because populism has a very short life. It doesn't take people far. Liberalism, similarly, has a very short life because it's an indecisive system of values. And for that reason, the ANC is not really looking at what the opposition might think about us at this point. We're really thinking about what our own constituency, the vast majority of black South Africans, unemployed and working class, are saying. And that would drive our discussions, and that is definitely going to drive where our decision goes.
We are out of time. The DSG has a meeting.
I know, 2 seconds. DSG, you said that we shouldn't speculate. But I think all of us would like to hear what President Jacob Zuma's comments were in that top 6 meeting, because it has led us to a situation where the NEC has to decide on his fate. He refused to step down. What were his reasons?
Okay. Oh, sorry, DSG. And then we're done.
Yeah, should the ANC fail to recall President Jacob Zuma come Wednesday, and then the motion of no confidence by opposition parties succeed to down the line, will you not seem to be weakened, by South African public?
I think firstly, Matlatsi, I'm going to plead with you. I read your article this morning. Obviously, you have sources who said some fairly interesting but inaccurate things, which are intended to make President Zuma look like he's not thinking about this matter seriously, and that he's not understanding the gravity of the situation. And the opposite is in fact the truth. That's what I can say to you. We will take into consideration what President Zuma has said to us. It will be reported very accurately, as it was last night in the NWC, and the response he gave us will be discussed, and will also be the NEC will be allowed to express their views on that response. I don't think that I'm at liberty to repeat to you what was said in that closed session of people with a deployee of the ANC. And I'm really going to ask News 24 to respect that, despite your propensity to publish from sources, except that we will tell you exactly what the NEC has decided post our meeting, without any colouring and so on. A vote of no confidence is not desirable under any circumstances. Our most important consideration is that we don't believe South Africa should wish for us to embarrass the President of the Republic.